has no clothes. You convince the king that he's wearing clothes, but everybody can see he has no clothes. You convince each other that you have no problem, but everybody can see you have a problem. And it's been a continuous cycle from, we're talking of independence after the Civil War. It's been a continuous this thing where it's now zoning and all these. So it gets to we're now at the point where economically, it's a mess. And a lot of Igbo people sincerely don't even want, funny enough, a lot of the Igbo people that I know don't even want Peter Obi to take over because of how messy it is.
That's something that it's clearly a few of my friends have shared, right? So there is clearly, as Pa Debanjo has said, that he supports Peter Obi, among other reasons, because he feels that it's a matter of ethnic equity, of justice, that he feels that the Yoruba have had a shot at the presidency, the Fulani have had a shot or shots, and the Niger Delta, and he feels that this will be an epochal or landmark moment when the Igbo, especially after the Nigerian Civil War, are fully integrated into Nigeria by having an Igbo as president. So some of my friends who are Igbo, this is their take on it. They feel that this is the worst possible time for an Igbo to become president. Now, I happen to, and you and I sort of agree on this, that Nigeria is in such bad shape that what we have always called for is a suspension of the elections, a cancellation of the elections, and the formation of an emergency rescue government, transitional rescue government to fix the country in all kinds of ways. Fix the country constitutionally, fix the country in terms of setting rules of engagement for our continued existence as one nation, or perhaps if there are sections of Nigeria that want to drift away, to set the rules for them for that to happen, because I've never believed in the immutability or sacredness of Nigeria. I'm open to the absolute dissolution of Nigeria into different units. I'm open to that. But if Nigerians can find the energy, the fuel, the sentiment to stay together, then what are the ethos? What would be the defining ethos of such a nation, right? What are the values that should animate the space that we currently call Nigeria? What are the terms of our engagement? And how do we set rules so that in future we don't have a country where a Tinubu will go and use money that is illicitly acquired to start with, or an Atiku to do the same, to buy the nomination of a party by giving delegates $10,000 to $15,000 each. Okay, how do we create a level playing field so that the best expertise in the country, who may not have money, can have a way of rising to the top of the tickets for all kinds of offices? Because we have a country, right, which, and somebody did this analysis, which is very interesting, which is that Nigeria was a country where the most enlightened and the most knowledgeable and imaginative people had a kind of disdain for politics. And so you have our jagudas going into politics, people who went into politics because they will fail at everything else. And so they went in, they saw all this free resources lying around, and they've stolen so much of it. And they've loved the kind of improbable life that this has given to them, this illicit wealth. And so they will kill to remain in office, right? How do we recreate the country so that we have a different system that then encourages people who don't have deep pockets, that will have amazing ideas to rise and become leaders, right? So that for me is where Nigeria should be going. So a country that is borrowing money to pay its debts, a country that is printing money to pay its recurrent obligations, is a country that is wasted, is a country that is in such profound crisis. So what I've told people is that even at the best of times, Obi or any other presidential candidate who means well would only be able to make changes on the margins. But the political and economic and security crisis in Nigeria have come to a head in a powerful way. So some of my Igbo friends feel, why is Obi being named as a possible promising candidate when he cannot meet the expectations of Nigerians? So that within a few weeks, at best months, it will be clear to Nigerians that he, as president, is overwhelmed by the problems of the country. And so people would then ascribe to him a failure that is not really his, essentially, but a failure that is structurally built into the country as it is presently constituted. So that's a problem for a lot of people. And that's why in an interview that I did with Rudolph Okonkwo, I did say that Obi was running an intellectually exciting campaign, but that he was overpromising, because you give the Nigerians the impression you know what the problems are, just put me there and I'm going to solve them. In a sense, that's what Soludo, that's the bind that Soludo finds himself in, because Soludo was seeking office, and during that debate with Andy Oba, where he vanquished Andy Oba and so on, he would say, I've done this, I know how to raise investment capital, I know where to find the money and so on. So he's governor, and we're not finding the money. Because at some point, a point that you and I have made on this podcast, right? Nobody is a magician. Obi is not a magician, much less Tinubu or Atiku. And so all of them. And so when you have candidates, which is the particular objection that I have to a Tinubu and Atiku, okay, and to some extent to Peter Obi as well. That's why I said to youth, if you help to deliver the presidency to Peter Obi, you must insist on being in the room of power. Don't trust him. Don't trust anybody to do the right thing. Insist that you must be part of the cabinet. Insist that you must be part of running the country, envisioning the country. Because if you leave the room, guess who is going to come into the room, right? And Obasanjo.
In fact, on his inauguration day, you should nominate somebody that will handcuff him and be following him.
Precisely, because when an Obasanjo comes into the room, Obasanjo does not mean well for Nigeria. Period.
So all these rent-seeking people.
Yeah, all these rent seekers, right? Yeah. So even if Obasanjo, if Obi wins, one of the first people to be in State House to congratulate him will be Anato Eze.
Of course.
Okay, he will take out newspaper ads. He will carry a delegation of traditional rulers from the southeast to go and pay homage and so on. And then very soon you find that the country has fallen back to where it was, to where you thought it was moving away from, right? So that.